Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another exciting episode of the LMTV Live. We are actually starting a slightly different format. We're going to keep this down to about 10 minutes because we got a lot of feedback from our audience that it's very difficult for them to watch a 30-minute, even a 30-minute show during the week. So it's my great pleasure to welcome back my better half, Mr. Tim O'Neill, Ocam Guy. Thank you, Tim, and
hey, everybody.
And also the CEO and the co-founder of Garland Technology, Chris Bihari. Hi, Chris.
Danny, Tim, how you guys doing? It's been a while.
It's been a while. I know you're too busy printing money.
That's right.
All right, so let's get it. Let's get to it. What you want to talk about today, if I understand it correctly, is the importance of having a very versatile platform when it comes to building visibility into the network. Is that right, Chris?
Absolutely, absolutely. When you look at building a visibility plane across your network, it all begins at the wire level. So the physical layer piece, you got to make sure that you get all the traffic and data off the wire. So that's where it begins. So one of the things is that when you start looking at collecting the data off the wire, utilizing network taps, you got a lot of challenges, right? You're going to be looking at 1 gig, 10 gig, 40 gig, 100 gig. And as we'll talk about in these next couple minutes here is, all the different challenges you can get involved in. So if you can accomplish that in a single platform, it gives you a lot of flexibility to be able to deploy the foundation of your visibility. Because at the end of the day, it all starts with the data off the wire.
If you don't have it, you can't see it, you can't analyze it, you can't measure performance, and you're just guessing. And that's not good when you're networking today.
Yeah, I mean, just a point of reference. Tim was the inventor of the original tap when we just have a string and two tin cans. He was the guy that invented the way to listen in. But in some way, I mean, I know you for many years, much more than a decade, and you kind of came along with the concept of the modern tap, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when you're moving into the environments today, as I mentioned, you have your 1 and 10 gig environments that are dealing with pretty standard interfaces that people are used to, right? Your LC connectors here. So a lot of people have seen that. Used to working with it, used to working with your your standard duplex connectors. And what we're finding is that now you need to start looking at the other types of connectors that are involved. So when you move into 40 gigabit, you have to now deal with some MPO 12, MPO 24 connectors. You're dealing with technology that a lot of people aren't familiar with. So here's an example of an MPO 12 or 24 connector. You'll see it's very small, but you're dealing with 12 to 24 fibers, in a very small footprint. And it's bringing a lot of challenges for our customers and our partners, because quite frankly, they're not very familiar with it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we really wanted to do was to make sure that we had a system that was simple, that was flexible, and that could really handle, any type of fiber connection that you had within your environment. So, we have our modular one-use system, and, everything is independent. So it is very simple to go with your, standard LC connections for anything from, in the single mode world, you can actually do you can actually handle 1 gig, 10 gig, 40 gig, and 100 gig in the LC environment.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start moving to more of the 40, 100 gig, with the MPO connectors, as I was showing you with the cables, now we're dealing with much higher connections. So if you look at a 40 gigabit SR4 as an example, you're using a connector that's called an MPO 12. You actually have 12 fibers, within your cable that you're tapping. And in a 40 gig environment, you're actually using 8 of those fibers. And you're actually transmitting up to 10 gig on each fiber, giving the capability to go all the way to 80 gigabit. So you're dealing with a higher density cable. You're dealing with issues that you want to be very selective on quality, the type of components, and we'll be diving into that in another session. But one of the main things that we want to do is very simply make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
You have a 10 gig application, 40 or 100, you can accomplish all this in the same high density format.
Mm-hmm. Now, just so everybody understands, this is all optical. So you're taking 40 gig in over you were saying like 12 fibers, and you're doing all the tapping individually. I know you have a lot of wonderful toys right behind you. Just show our audience what a 40 gig tap look like.
Right. So with a 40 gigabit tap, and let me take some of these connectors out, and it's going to be tough to see the connectors. I'm going to try and move them up here, but each one of those connectors can either have 12 or 24 fibers in it. And in the 40 gig application, you're actually using 8 of the fibers. So if you're using 40 gigabit SR4, you're running 10 gig over 8 lanes, because again, you have a full duplex connection. In a 100 gigabit SR4 application, you're running 25 gig over 8 lanes. And then in the 100 gig SR10, you're running, it's a 24 fiber connector, and you're running 10 gig over 20 lanes. So, it's real important to, provide that flexibility. We were talking with one of our banking customers today, and one of the other 40 gig applications is also 40 gig BiDi in the Cisco world. And we're seeing a lot of that in our financial customers. So they love the fact that they have the flexibility to still populate, data centers. You still have 10 gig, you still have 1 gig. In certain core distribution layers, you're running into 40 and 100. So, our customer I was speaking today, they need 100 gig SR4, they need a 40 gig BiDi, and they still need 10 gig. And this gives them the ultimate flexibility to accomplish all that in a single platform. And, we got it covered for them. And, we've also done some custom applications for some customers as well. We had some government customers who, asked us to, put some custom optics to tap some, unique applications. Like Juniper has proprietary SFP that they use. So we actually customized some of the wavelengths and fiber types. So the beauty of it is, since this is a core piece of our business, not only do we give the flexibility of all the different types of taps, we give flexibility on what type of split ratios. We don't tell you it's just, 50, 50, 70, 30. We can do 60, 40, 80, 20, 90, 10. Again, we've done some custom stuff as well for some different, 1 to 3 applications, but super excited about it, Denny and Tim. And, this is awesome to be back on the show, and we look forward to continuing these conversations.
That's great. Now,
Chris,
go ahead, Tim.
Getting one comment I have is that you've built this incredibly flexible system, and that's so important today. You don't want to get anchored down and have one rack with just this, and they have to go out and buy another rack for this and another rack for that. You've really done a great job putting together a very flexible system. And like you said in the very beginning, I don't care what technology you're using, SDN, you've got to have taps. You've got to see everything. And this gives you that potential and with growth capability. And if your network's 10 gig now, it will be 40 gig. It hopefully will be 100 gig, because if not, it's not growing. And when network's not growing, you're not going very successful. So this is really a great job you guys have done putting this together so it's flexible.
So of course you were showing us the size of the module, and I mean I can just imagine the fiber management itself. It is quite a challenge already. You got 8 to 12 fibers that you have to manage, and of course the flip side of that is that even if you can physically manage those fibers, you still have to worry about the thermal stability and all that, right? So what I like to do is, before we're slightly over 10 minutes, which is okay, but I want to leave before I leave the show. I want to just bring out some questions that your potential customers might want to ask. I mean, this is a new technology. And like anything else, there's a lot of people out there selling products that are making a lot of claims. And so, in the spirit of kind of raising the quality of the conversation, if I were a customer looking at this technology, what are the 1 or 2 questions I should really be asking the vendors?
Right. One is, you want to talk about what type of when you're dealing in the multi-mode environment, as an example, you want to ask them about, how are you actually splitting off the light, and what type of technology are you using? And, one of the things that is a mistake is some people are still using a fuse-based technology versus prism-based. So that's one. Another one is the quality of the connectors and the construction of the chassis as well, and how it's thoroughly tested. And do you spot check the taps, or do you actually literally test every single tap and provide the ability to also pass live traffic through it? So it's very critical on the component, how it's built, because when you're dealing with construction of a module that's getting smaller, you also have to be very concerned that there's proper procedures, because I can tell you it's people can make errors in how they do the bend radiuses and everything, and we've really mastered this. We've mastered the process and the quality control, and it's so critical because this is your foundation.
Yeah.
And when someone says, "Hey, Denny, it's just a tap," it's like, well, wait a minute. This is the foundation of a, 500,000 million plus solution when you add the analyzers, the security tools. And, it truly is the most critical piece to start with a foundation that is 100% reliable and guaranteeing that you're seeing every bit, byte, and packet. And that there's nothing more you can say. It's the foundation.
Well, at the end of the day, a tap is a network element. It sees live traffic, but it's different from all the other network elements in that you can't fix this one with software. So if you didn't pick the right vendor, you didn't pick the right company, right product with the right reputation and the experience level that is important to your network, it's a mistake.
Yeah, and photons are not as nice as electrons.
Yeah. So
ask them too. One last question, Denny, would be, hey, are you focused in tap market?
Yes.
And is that what you do?
Yes.
The core business,
Yes.
And it is for us. So
yes, and for those of you who might not know, Chris has actually been in this business for a long time. Garland Technology is what, about 5-8 years old now?
Yes, yeah. We started in 11, so yeah, we're on that 5 year.
5 years, yeah. And but tap, but Chris has been selling and making tap since he was 5. So
that's right.
He's my little brother from another mother, and we both.
I heard that one. Okay, so I'm going to flip back to the this is the website. For those of you out there who are interested in knowing more about Garland technology, you should go to this website called garlandtechnology.com, and it's a beautiful website with lots of information. So with that, I'm going to close the show. Tim, any last word from you?
I've known Chris a long time. He's got a great company. They've developed an incredible technology. And if you think visibility is not important, you'll find out the hard way. And the way the elegance and the quality they build into their products are all American made down in Dallas, Texas. So we can say they're Texas made. And, you know, quality is essence, especially when you're dealing with photons. I'm not joking. Photons are not nice particles. Electrons, they don't care. But photons, you mess with them, you got problems. So you want to have quality from the very beginning. Don't let quality slip by for a few bucks.
So that's a great advice. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Chris. And we'll see you back in the next segment. Bye-bye.
Great. Bye.